It's Alicia with the Deeper Dynamics and Principles, using the law of attraction and the force of love so that you can become the conscious creator of your reality. Today I'm going to talk about the difference between judgment and discernment and why it matters. So let's talk about judgment first. And I think we all know what that is, especially if we're on a path of spiritual growth. We're very aware of when we're judging another person. We're judging a lifestyle. We judge their personal appearance. We judge their weight, their hair, their shape of their body. We judge their occupation. We judge the waitress. We judge, name it. We judge it. And what does that come from? Why do we judge everything? It comes from the small self, the little self that never felt like it was enough and never will feel like it's enough because it's not enough. And so it is always looking for something outside of itself to make itself feel important, to make itself feel valued. And especially if you grew up in a family like I did, where you never felt like you were important, you never felt like you were valued, that creates a pattern that becomes ingrained in the small self. Now, how do we expand past that? We expand past that when we become perfect alignment and we start identifying with our true self. The true self is that inner light, that inner power to create, that inner self that knows its own worth, that knows its own value. So that is how we expand past that. Now let's talk about discernment, because discernment's really important. It's important to have discernment, but not judgment. So judgment always comes from low self-worth. It always comes from not feeling valued. To judge something else just makes you feel better temporarily for that little moment. But it is never true self-worth. It is an illusion of building the ego, which when you build the ego through true self-worth, through aligning with the truth of who you are, an infinite, magnificent creator of universes and worlds, then the ego can merge with that light and it disappears into that beautiful light that you are, and it becomes a positive aspect of who you are. It can become a tool for who you are. But when the ego identifies with the lower self, then it becomes destructive because it tends to hold you in the illusion that you are not worthy by in the essence of who you are. All right, so let's talk about discernment. And excuse me, discernment is simply knowing what is in alignment with the truth of who you are without judgment. It's simply knowing, making choices, making a million choices a day. We all do that. Is this in alignment with my true self? Is this particular meal that I'm considering eating going to lift every cell in my body with beautiful, sparkling life force? Or is it going to deplete my life force? Now, you're not going to judge other people who happen to be eating something else that they want to eat. That's their business. You're simply aligning with, is this going to lift me up? Do those clothes really speak to who I am as a spiritual being on a spiritual journey on this earth? Or do they take me away from that? Do they lower my own sense of who I am as a beautiful soul? Do they add to my beauty? Do they add to the light that I carry? Okay, we talked about food, we talked about clothes. Now, what about a soulmate or a life partner? I know when I was much, much younger, I thought if a man came into my frequency, there was a reason for it, and I would always open to that relationship with no discernment at all. And part of that was because I didn't really know the light that I am. I simply identified with my ego of being told, basically through small messages, spoken and unspoken, when I was a kid and growing up and a teenager, that I was not good enough, that I was not worthy enough. And so, whatever man came, I would see the beauty of his heart and I would say yes to a relationship. Of course, that would never last because it was not in alignment with my soul. It was not in alignment with the light that I carry. And that took me years to even know the light that I carry. I always knew I was different and weird, but it took me years to grow into knowing myself as a master creator of my own world through the power of my heart. So that's the difference between judgment, discernment. Use discernment and let judgment fade away. Love you bunches, and let people know about this channel. Love you. Bye.